A very good morning, everybody, for Tuesday, the 12th of October. High pressure is continuing to dominate out in the Atlantic, at least close to us, though we are seeing some fronts pushing in from the north, which coming down a little bit further than I think we expected this time yesterday. So on the whole, it will deteriorate as the day goes on, but will then pick up again for tomorrow. And that high pressure is sort of staying with us for a number of days yet, and maybe even just moving around and changing a bit. But for today, the winds even lighter than they were yesterday, sort of light northwesterlies, and it's fairly bright to start with. Those winds are sort of coming now from a more constant direction northwest, no more than 15 knots at flying heights. I think that's probably a bit closer to the cold front, which is coming down. So yeah, I'd say 50 knots of flying heights, probably no more than sort of 8 or 9 knots on the ground. Satellite picture outside shows we're getting a lot of sort of top cover cloud getting fed in from the northwest. That shouldn't be too much of a problem for us initially. What is the problem is the cold front, which is embedded in that, and that may start to introduce some sort of localized sort of drizzle and showers and stuff like that later, sort of 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon. And so yeah, we might need to watch out for that. The cloud base might come down a little bit. Looking still quite good for wave in the Pennines though. The public forecast sort of shows the variable. I've got the right day here. Yep. With sort of sunny intervals for most of the day and a sort of 8 to 9 knot northwesterly wind. And visibility should still remain pretty good. No real haze issues. Top temperature today about 14 to 15 degrees, and dew points down to about 10. Soaring wise, it was locally soarable yesterday. We might see a sort of local soaring to 2,500 feet or so, but nothing really spectacular. Just really depends how much that top cover gets in the way and how close the cold front gets to us without causing any problems. Farnborough are reporting cab okay at the moment, and a few at 4,000. There is a chance we might see some more variable cloud at some point, maybe even some lower bases, but I think it's going to change a bit throughout the day, so it's not going to remain necessarily constant. So where the weather is nice, take advantage of it, because it might deteriorate and change later in the day. Airspace wise, before I move on to the all important jet movement stuff, Farnborough and Solent active as usual. Fairford is active, and they are fairly active at the moment with a number of their sort of high-speed bombers flying around on exercise. So yes, give Fairford a fairly wide berth unless you are talking to somebody, because you might see something a little bit unusual. Salisbury Plain is as usual NOTAMs. Looking on here, just lots of paragliding NOTAMs and the usual danger area stuff, which has been going on for weeks. So nothing particularly significant NOTAM wise. Western on the Green has been fairly active lately. So if you're going up that way, double check with Oxford or Bryce how their paving and aerobatics at Sywell remains. So I'll link you back into the presentation now. This is the game plan for today. As I say, sometimes we get weeks without movements and they all come at once, but at the end of the day, they do pay the rent. So this is what's going to happen today. So we do have a number of movements, at least sort of 5, which are going to cause us a bit of a headache. There may be a 6th in terms of another 737, but I've not seen the flight plan from that company yet. So yes, 727 is going off to Channel Islands. Got EasyJet going off up to Norwich, and we've got the 2XL 737 coming up in Cardiff. So I'll leave that on screen just for a moment, but my main concern always, and as for the airline operators as well, is we need to make sure we're following our procedures. So making sure that when the flashing strobe is on, we keep well away from it. We're not loitering in thermals on the upwind edge of the runway, and that we are paying attention. We're driving buggies and stuff like that. Sort of the success of Lasham and sort of people wanting to come and get their aircraft maintained here relies on us following all of our procedures, as we always do. So please think, and if you're unsure, come and ask, and we will sort whatever issue you have out. Make sure you're aware of the approach lighting on the north side. That may be out for some significant periods of time today, and obviously wake turbulence. My strong advice is don't sit in a 0.2 knot thermal when in the circuits when you've got an airliner coming in. Come and land early, much easier than having the jets with you during the approach, because having done it myself a few times, I really don't like doing it. So yeah, listen out the radio, and yeah, just take some actions early and you'll be absolutely fine. Setup diagram looks like this. As I said, a picture speaks 1,000 words. So the hard runway effectively is unavailable. I'm not going to get on and off of it 5 times. I think it'll do my head in. So this is the setup we're going to use. Personally, we may at times have to look at just being aerotow only because it's just fairly complex with the amount of people we have to try and run 2 launch points. But if we are running 2 launch points, this is how it will look. The launch point will be on the pan going towards sort of the other end of the runway with the winch launching off the tarmac on the pan. And aerotowing will happen on the north side grass. A reminder that the circuits for this are done based off the hard runway, so do not cross the hard runway centre line, and just keep your distance from it. If you land within a wingspan or so of the runway, the jet can't land or take off. So just keep your distance. The cables will be pulled in and the winch will be moved out of the way when we do have a movement. So yeah, if we could just keep our eyes and ears out today. That's why we're briefing this in such great detail to get this done. And yes, if in doubt, land up the airfield if that's the safest thing to do. Don't try and squeeze in small gaps and stuff like that. We can always tow you back. It's just for some members, they're not as current to the jet movement procedures as they have been in recent years because the amount of jets we've seen have varied. So yeah, any questions, please do ask. When you're towing to the launch point, normal thing, crossing the landing areas by the shortest available means. You can cross the runway to tow over to the winch launch points, obviously, but just check the strobe isn't on, nothing's happening. Look for the fire trucks, all of that stuff. It would just make my life a lot easier on what could be a fairly tricky day. Okay, that's enough blabbering from me. I think sort of half the 2-seaters are required, and then a couple of maybe single seaters. And yeah, we'll see you out there shortly. A reminder that the clubhouse is out of action and will be out of bounds on the south side as well, so that might still be out of bounds for the moment. But yes, there is some seating area inside the Brown Elephant now. So yeah, bring your lunch. We might have some cups of tea for you. But yes, things are a bit different at Lasham. But one thing that doesn't change is the jet movement. So I'll see you on the airfield very shortly. Bye for now.